Hello there, and welcome to another edition of Last Week Tonight, where we try to make sense of the nonsensical and shine a light on the often absurd world of American politics. Tonight, we're diving headfirst into a story that might sound like a rejected script from Homeland, but I assure you it's all too real. The FBI is locked in a budget battle with the Trump administration, and things are getting heated. On one side, we have former Trump loyalist turned FBI director Kash Patel, a man who once defended the former president's every whim, now standing firm against his proposed budget cuts. On the other side, we have the Trump administration, wielding the power of the purse and pushing for significant reductions in federal spending, including a hefty chunk from the FBI's budget. This clash isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. It's about the safety and security of our nation. It's about whether we're willing to invest in the agencies tasked with keeping us safe from terrorists, cybercriminals, and other threats, both foreign and domestic. So buckle up, folks, because this is one showdown you won't want to miss. Section 2. Patel's stand, defying the budget slash. Imagine, if you will, a world where the head of the FBI, a man handpicked by Donald Trump himself, is now the one telling the Trump administration thanks but no thanks to their proposed budget cuts. That's precisely the situation we find ourselves in, folks. FBI Director Kash Patel, in a move that surprised many, has publicly rejected the Trump administration's plan to slash the FBI's budget by a whopping $545 million. Now, I know what you're thinking. John, $545 million sounds like a lot of money, even for a government agency. And you'd be right, it is a significant chunk of change, but Patel argues that these cuts would be devastating to the FBI's ability to protect our nation, forcing them to eliminate over 1,000 positions and curtail vital programs. It's like trying to fight a hydra with a butter knife, not exactly a recipe for success. Patel, in a rare display of defiance against his former patron, has gone so far as to propose an alternative budget, one that would actually increase the FBI's funding to over $11 billion. He argues that this increase is necessary to maintain current staffing levels, invest in new technologies, and effectively combat the ever-evolving threats facing our nation. It's a bold move, to be sure, and one that has put him directly at odds with the Trump administration. Section 3, the price of protection, why Patel wants more. You might be wondering, why does the FBI need so much money, John? What do they do with all those billions? Well, my friends, the FBI's responsibilities are vast and varied. They're not just chasing bank robbers and solving kidnappings, although they do plenty of that too. The FBI is on the front lines of our nation's fight against terrorism, both domestic and international. They're the ones tracking down terrorist cells, preventing attacks, and bringing those responsible to justice. They're also tackling cybercrime, which is becoming increasingly sophisticated and dangerous. From ransomware attacks that cripple businesses to state-sponsored hacking that threatens our national security, the FBI's cyber division is working overtime to stay one step ahead of the bad guys. And let's not forget about white-collar crime, organized crime, and public corruption. The FBI plays a crucial role in investigating and prosecuting these crimes, ensuring that justice is served and that no one is above the law. So, when Patel says the FBI needs more resources, he's not just whistling Dixie. He's talking about the very real costs of keeping our nation safe in an increasingly complex and dangerous world. Section 4. Trump's rationale, trimming the fat or undermining security. Now, the Trump administration, never one to shy away from a good budget cut, has defended its proposed FBI funding reduction as a necessary step in their ongoing quest to shrink the federal government and eliminate wasteful spending. They argue that the FBI, like many government agencies, has become bloated and inefficient, with too many layers of bureaucracy and not enough focus on its core mission. They've specifically targeted what they call non-law enforcement missions and pet projects for cuts, including diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. They argue that these programs are extraneous and that the FBI should be focused solely on law enforcement, not social engineering. Of course, critics argue that these cuts are short-sighted and will ultimately harm the FBI's ability to recruit and retain a diverse and talented workforce, which is essential for effectively combating crime in the 21st century. The Trump administration also claims that some of the FBI's intelligence activities are duplicative and could be handled more efficiently by other agencies. They point to the overlapping responsibilities of the FBI and the CIA, arguing that there's room for streamlining and consolidation. Critics, however, counter that the FBI's intelligence-gathering capabilities are essential for its law enforcement mission, and that weakening the FBI in this area would be a grave mistake. Section 5 Doloro's dilemma: confusion on Capitol Hill. The FBI's budget battle has also sparked confusion and debate on Capitol Hill, with lawmakers struggling to make sense of the conflicting narratives and determine the best course of action. Representative Rosa DeLauro, the ranking member of the House Appropriations Committee, which oversees the FBI's budget, expressed bewilderment at Patel's rejection of the administration's proposal. "I'm confused," DeLauro admitted during a recent hearing. The administration is proposing cuts, and the FBI director, who was appointed by the president, is saying, "No, we need more money." It's an unusual situation, to say the least. DeLauro pressed Patel for specifics on which positions he would cut if forced to accept the administration's proposed budget, but Patel remained evasive, arguing that any cuts would jeopardize the FBI's ability to carry out its mission. Section 6 Ivy's support, a voice of agreement. While DeLauro and other lawmakers expressed confusion and concern over the proposed FBI budget cuts, Representative Glenn Ivy from Maryland emerged as a vocal supporter of Patel's stance. Ivy, a member of the House Judiciary Committee, which has oversight of the FBI, praised Patel for pushing back against the administration and advocating for the resources the Bureau needs to keep our nation safe. "I'm relieved that Director Patel understands the critical importance of a fully funded FBI," Ivy said in a statement. "The threats we face today are more complex and dangerous than ever before, and we cannot afford to shortchange the men and women who put their lives on the line every day to protect us." Section 7. Redeployment: shifting resources to the front lines. In addition to requesting a budget increase, Patel has also announced a plan to redeploy 1,000 agents from the Washington, D.C. area to field offices across the country. This move, Patel argues, will allow the FBI to better address threats at the local level and ensure that resources are allocated where they're needed most. "The threats to this country in 2025 are everywhere," Patel said in a speech announcing the redeployment plan. "We cannot quarterback that mission from Washington, D.C. alone. We need boots on the ground in every corner of this country, ready to respond to whatever challenges we may face." The redeployment plan has been met with mixed reactions, with some praising Patel for taking a proactive approach to addressing evolving threats, while others worry that it will weaken the FBI's presence in the nation's capital at a time when domestic terrorism and extremism remain significant concerns. Section 8. A nation on edge: the stakes of the budget battle. The ongoing budget battle between the FBI and the Trump administration highlights the difficult choices facing our nation as we grapple with competing priorities and limited resources. On one hand, we have a responsibility to be fiscally responsible and ensure that taxpayer dollars are spent wisely. On the other hand, we cannot afford to compromise our national security or weaken the agencies tasked with keeping us safe. The stakes are incredibly high. A weakened FBI could leave us vulnerable to terrorist attacks, cyber attacks, and other threats. It could also hamper the Bureau's ability to investigate and prosecute a wide range of crimes, from white-collar fraud to public corruption. Section 9. Conclusion: the uncertain future of the FBI's budget. As the budget battle rages on, it remains unclear what the ultimate outcome will be. Will the Trump administration relent and provide the FBI with the funding it needs? Or will the Bureau be forced to make do with less, potentially jeopardizing its ability to protect our nation? Only time will tell how this showdown will end. But one thing is certain: the outcome of this battle will have far-reaching consequences for the FBI, for our national security, and for the future of our nation. And as always, we'll be here to try and make sense of it all, one absurd story at a time. Until next week, folks, good night, and try to stay safe out there.